Detailer's Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast, and I'm super excited because I'm here with Cameron Williams. Before we get started, don't forget to go to detailersroadmap.com. You can go up and book a demo and get some information about our SEO and website services. As we say, we build kick-ass websites. So let us help you along that way. We can kind of evaluate what you got going on and come up with a good path in order to help you in your business with your web and SEO strategies. Also find us on social media, of course. So, hey, today we're here with Cameron Williams. Cameron's the founder, CEO of KynLi Consulting, a consulting group that specializes in CFO services and consulting, including outsourced CFO and accounting services, allowing businesses to focus on running your business. So thanks for coming on. Cameron, appreciate you. We've been trying to expand a little bit the people that we have on this podcast with Cruise Control. We talk to a lot of, people in the automotive and detailing industry, PPF, paint protection film and tint. But it's great to bring in someone that's like truly an expert in probably one of the weaker areas of small and medium-sized businesses. So yeah, I'm super excited to have you on. Can you just kind of give us a little bit more about your background and your story? You and I are friends. Full disclosure, Cameron and I are doing some business together because he's trying to help me along the way because I suck at this part of my business. I'll be honest right now in terms of so I have challenges with this part of my business. If you're watching this on video, you can see him admonish me for saying that I suck at this part of my business.
Yeah,
But this is one of my weaknesses. Even though I'm great at doing most things, the bookkeeping side and all that is something that I'm really weak on. And quite frankly, more full disclosure, it's going to, he's got to go through like 27 months of my finances and bookkeeping to bring me up to speed, which is, I'm not excited about that, but I'm excited to see the results for sure. But hey, tell us your background, give us more kind of your backstory as a small business owner and a medium business owner, and share as much as you want.
All right. So Cameron Williams, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the owner of KynLi Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for your business. We tell people, if we had to super shorten it, we are here to give you accounting, tax strategies, and consulting so that you make more money, save more money, and cut those taxes as low as legally possible. So just a little bit of background on the business. We're about to be in business. This is going to be year 6 in July of this year. So it's been a fun process. We've doubled our business almost every year up until last year. I guess I broke my own streak. But it's been a fun process from start to finish. Starting was charging people $150 a month and just doing bookkeeping only, versus now we're a lot more comprehensive. We're including the tax return. We're doing tax strategy. We're talking about projections so that we can look in the future and try to start preparing for what might happen if these different scenarios happen. We talked about the tax strategy. Cash flow is a huge one because a common thing we hear is, Cameron, I'm making a lot of money, but I have no idea where it's going. Even the client that we just signed on yesterday, over $1 million. They're like, my cash flow, I don't know. So just trying to help people holistically, because I believe the accounting industry as a whole has just done a bad job and a disservice to clients, because we think that value is giving you financials that say like, these are office supplies. That's valuable. You aren't stupid. You know that. But what is the valuable thing is, hey, Cameron, I want to hire somebody. Can you tell me if I can make that move now, or do I need to wait? That's where we can go in. Okay, well, if gross revenue is this, if net income is this, if your cash reserves is this, then based on those 3 factors, plus whatever salary you want to bring them in at, I've told some of my clients, you need to wait. You don't have the cash reserve for it, and the net income is way too low. So if any emergency happens, no. Or I've told them, yeah, go ahead. You have like 40 grand in the bank. Your net income's at 10. That's only going to drop it by a little. So that's who we are. We just try to be holistically help. We try to be proactive. A lot of our clients love us just because their past accountant, again, ghosted them, doesn't really say anything until right 2 days before the tax deadline, et cetera. That's not how we operate because, of course, your success is our success. So we just try to be invested. That's why we don't take on any and everybody. But when we do take you on, we want to get you a ton of wins, make a lot of big jumps and the big results for you so that it can be completely off your plate, that you're not stressed out about it because you know that we have it, we're handling it, taking care of it. You trust us, we trust you, and we work in the same direction. So hopefully that's a good little 4 minutes synopsis.
No, I love that. And I think that, so, when we talk about web services from Detailer's Roadmap, we always will say, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that you can do for your own website, even if you don't hire us. And I know you're kind of in that same, but I think you're so unique. The company is so unique. Like, how, if I'm just your basic small to medium business owner, and I'm like, all right, I'm not in Atlanta, or I have this person that already does my stuff. Like, how do I find someone like you, if not you? You know what I mean? Like, what are the things that I look for in that kind of?
So you got to ask the right question. So there have been some people who come to us, and we always say like, "Hey, we're not going to put down another accountant or bookkeeper because we're all different." So even though they may have jacked your stuff up, God bless them. But
I just have to interrupt you. I saw you posted yesterday because we're friends on Facebook. You're like, if I have to talk to another client whose tax accountant whose financial services company has done nothing for in the last year, I'm going to scream, right? Which seems to be fairly common.
Which I didn't know this. So see, a lot of times when I'm getting on these discovery calls, I'm learning stuff too. Like the person that we just signed yesterday, she's like, I'm not going to name the company, but I was working with them and I paid them and they helped me. So I'm like, oh, okay. So my thing, which this is kind of getting into your other question about what we do that makes us different. So we'll do a diagnostic on the call because, of course, everybody thinks either their stuff is not that hard or it's the worst thing I've ever seen, which is never. It just isn't. So the easiest way for me to know, let's just look at it right here on the call. I will know this is going to be a lot of work, or this is not bad, but I see why they're struggling because they don't get blah blah blah. And that's what she told me. She's like, "Well, yeah, I've been paying them, and I'm looking. The first thing that pops up is January through year to date. So January 1st, 2024 through this was yesterday, so March 4th." It was just blank, aka there was nothing done. So I'm like, well, what did you pay them for? Because they haven't touched it all year. He's like, they haven't. I didn't know that. So that goes back to my point about we think the value is you have financials. There was not even financials. So by default, that value is already gone. Now trust is coming down because he's like, what do you mean? I've been paying them. Why is it not done? It's all right. Let's just focus on 2023. Well, when we start looking at some things, the P&L can hide a lot of things. It's that balance sheet that really tells me were some things hidden over here, or did we finesse some numbers? Because you can't finesse the balance sheet. I think I've forgotten your main question because
I'm thinking in terms of small and medium businesses who kind of already have bookkeeping. How do we what do we look for, and what questions are we supposed to ask in order to get that kind of stuff?
That was it. Sorry. All right. So the question you need to ask, the first one, because when we get on these discovery calls, they start, oh, my current person isn't doing this. My very first question is always, well, what did you ask for? Because what happens, which is why we put so many touch points in our process, you may start off saying, I need a bookkeeper, right? And by the way, a bookkeeper is, hey, these are office supplies. That's all a bookkeeper does, putting it in the right bucket. But what happens is you start to make more money. When I hired this bookkeeper, I was only making $6,000 a month. Now I'm making 25 or 30 or 35 grand a month. What are you wanting? You're wanting what we prep for because we already know, which is, hey, tell me about my taxes. Hey, where's my cash? Should I have a salary? Should I be an S Corp? Should I stay at LLC? Should I hire people? Who should I connect with? I know you're going to ask that, so we build our system for that. The problem with some of these people is they never communicate that. That stays here. So they get upset with the bookkeeper because, well, they're not being forward thinking. Or when I ask them, they don't know. They just do the bare basics. That's because it's a different skill set. So you may have to go interview a person or two or ask your network to say, hey, who are you working with? Tell me how they work with you. Are they proactive? What are their services? What are their offerings? How do you feel they've helped you, etc.? Because you're thinking, let's just say it's a level 1, 2, 3. Bookkeepers are level 1. You want level 3 work. You're not going to get level 3 work paying somebody $300 a month. It's not going to. Just like you wouldn't get a top website if you're only going to pay $500. Top websites, at least with the clients that we serve, there are people selling websites for 10 grand, 30 grand. I mean, it just depends. So you need to first look at price points. You need to first ask around, do just a little research because there's personality fits in there. And then 3, which is probably the most important, what level are you at in your company? Everybody, there are some people I tell them upfront on the call, you don't need the CFO package. You don't need it. I'm not even going to talk about this right now. We're going to drop down to these are the 2 options, or depending on what they said, this is the option. So, what do I need? Am I at the stage where I'm cool with the bookkeeper, but now I've kind of advanced or evolved to where I need more? Then that's what needs to be communicated. So when you go out and find them, there's that. Like I literally just got off the call before this where I have a client. He's like, oh, talk to my tax person. They know all this stuff. Long story short, I talked to him. She's like, we're not engaged to help them with projections and strategy. We try just to be nice, but the financials are so messed up, we can't ever do it. But he's thinking, and at least what he's relaying to me is, no, they told us this and they're okay with this. I just got off the phone with them. They're not. She's like, I've been telling them for the past 2 years. So that's what there's a difference in being aligned. So that's where you want to start. So do a little research, ask your network, what do you need for the stage of your business you're going for? If I'm making 20 grand and I know by the end of the year, there's a good chance I'm getting a 40, you need to build everything as if you're making 40. So that way you're not having to constantly strip down. No, build me the 40,000 system now, even though I'm only at 22,000. And that's what's going to get you there. So you got to ask. Then you need to ask. Probably the 4th thing is I think we talked about it, but what do they do? We're kind of what's considered, I would say, a unicorn. We're doing the CFO and consulting. We do taxes as well, and we handle the bookkeeping. People don't understand that just like there's different kind of doctors, there are different kind of accountants. There are some that only do audits. There are some that only do tax resolution, aka I got these huge outstanding tax bills and I need you to help me to get them off because I don't have the money. There's some people that only do taxes and will not touch bookkeeping. There are some that just do bookkeeping only. And then there's some that do combinations of those. So that's why I said you have to be aware of what do I want? Because when I tell you there's some people like, oh, I hate doing bookkeeping. They only do taxes. You can't ask them to do your books because they don't do them. They just won't. Then you got to remember for bookkeepers, that's probably the easiest, lowest entry into our profession. There are people who can go take a course. Hey, targeting all stay-at-home moms. You can earn some extra money by being a bookkeeper. They're going to be a lot different than what you see behind me. I went to school for this. I got the degrees. This is the only field I've ever worked in outside of my math tutor job and when I worked for my college football team on the video staff. Outside of that, everything I've done has been accounting. So there's going to be things I know from my experience that bookkeeper who took this $2,000 course, they would never know because they don't have the same experience. So that's what I mean by you got to kind of ask around, ask the right questions, know what you want, know where you're going.
And finding someone that actually knows about small, medium, and large businesses too, because as you know, that's super important because they need to know those strategies. And frankly, I didn't even know this kind of thing existed until I started kind of seeing your content on social. And then even then you had to clarify some things for me. And, we're not selling your services in particular, but what I'm trying to get at is that there are people out there that can help you with strategy and like the finance part. As long as when I write a check, it doesn't bounce in a lot of cases, then I'm good to go, right? Like that's that cash flow thing, which cash flow is king. And it's
but not necessarily. Because I'm learning too, people are taking more loans than they used to. And the type of loan can hurt you. So there are some loans, like if a client was to come to me and say capital is low, my first thought is going to either be you need line of credit outside of getting more sales. What can we do? But let's say that's not an option. line of credit or SBA loan, because I know those are safer things, lower interest, and you can borrow on them not as needed. The line of credit is pretty much as needed. What happens is people will go get like a Stripe loan or Square
Mm,
loan. And what happens with those that makes those terrible is the minute you get paid, not only do you have to pay your 2.5%, 3% merchant fee, but then you got to pay their 11, 12%, 15%, this from you getting my money fee. So then you're still struggling with cash because I'm only getting 80% of what I made. So we have to be careful with the cash portion, that what is in the bank? What are my obligations? What do I have that I have to pay these loans or my credit cards? That's where some of these puzzle pieces are missing. And going back to your first question, the bookkeeper doesn't realize that.
mm,
Maybe a very, very good seasoned one that maybe used to work in corporate and switch. But most people don't make those correlations of, okay, they're making 50K. I see right here that they should have 15,000 left over after all their expenses, but the bank account is below $1,000. Well, yeah, they probably took a distribution, aka they just hit the transfer button to themselves. That was 10. So
mm.
15 minus 10, we only got 5 left. Oh, and then they had to make that loan payment because they took out 3 loans, and that's the rest of the 5. So that's why you don't have cash. Not because you're not a great salesman, not because your product isn't amazing, but because we got into these bad loans and we got to get them paid off so that we free up some cash. Or maybe we need to trim some expenses, and do like, we got a way that we can get like 25% just cleared out the way. Or maybe we just need to put more focus on sales. Maybe we're too overconfident, or we don't really have a sales strategy. We just think,
Mm.
I'm going to post on social and they're just going to automatically find me. Yeah, that's a super long-term passive play. We need something more aggressive. So there's so many factors in this, but the consulting person, this is why I said you have to know who you want. You need somebody that's going to give you strategy and consulting. You don't just need the bookkeeper, because that's not what's going to help you. I need you to give me some strategies based on you helping your other people get to $1 million or whatever the number is, because I'm trying to get there, but I got a couple of problems I need to free up first. So how we maintain and or fix these while keeping my taxes down, while helping me to make more money, while helping me to pay myself. That is a
Mm.
very tricky balance to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something that small and medium sized businesses, even large businesses, like you said, everybody, I think we all struggle with that because it's just an information in, information out thing. I want to talk to you about taxes.
Ooh.
And I've always been like, I always look for people that, and you can disagree with me, you can tell me I'm going to jail or whatever, right? But there's a difference between the letter of the law and the
Yeah,
spirit of the law, right? When it comes to taxes, because you can ask 40 accountants or 40 CPAs that are doing your taxes, and you will get about a certain part of the tax code, which if I put it here, my desk is way down here. If I put it here, the thing would probably be up to past my forehead. how
that's
big
fact.
how big the tax code is and how convoluted and how much crap is in there. But
Yes.
can you contrast that for me and kind of give me the basic thinking strategy for small businesses?
The basic one, straight. First off, I'm going to preface this by saying anything I tell you, IRS.gov is going back. So that's where you start. If you really want to know the answer, yes, you can pop it in Google, but when these choices pop up, like for example, here's an easy one. So I did escort penalties, late filing. I don't need to go to the H&R Block one that's right here. I don't need to go to the TurboTax one. I don't need to go to ALG Tax Solutions. The very first one, IRS.gov, because you know that's the official. So to keep it super simple, they always define it by what is an ordinary and necessary business expense for your industry. Now we know that's going to be different for every single industry. So what that does is really start to fine tune and put into perspective. So for example, me being an accountant, I don't necessarily need to do that much traveling. So I shouldn't have that much mileage. Versus a real estate agent, they do a ton of driving because they're showing houses and picking up clients, etc. So they should have more mileage. That is ordinary and necessary for them. So this is why I laugh. Now, bringing back your social media part you mentioned, when people are like, oh, I'm going to go buy me a Tesla because I need that for business. You're a digital marketing agency. Majority of your life is spent on Zooms and in-person events at conferences. You don't need a business vehicle because you don't go nowhere. Very rarely, right? Versus that real estate agent. See, I sell houses to athletes in the Atlanta area. Well, you may need a Tesla, so you don't want to show up in a beat up Honda, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the number one draft pick in the draft. You see, so there's a difference there. So that's what I mean about we have to think and we have to know how to utilize these tax laws to our advantage. So that's not to say can't go get you a new Honda Civic, I don't know, whatever car you like, but that's a regular four-door vehicle. That makes sense, but it's still not going to be a business vehicle. Because at the end of the day, if you were to track your mileage, probably 10% of your mileage was used to you going to business related stuff. The other 90% is personal. Versus somebody who runs a daycare, I'm not pulling up to Walmart in the big old van. I'm going to get the kids from school. I'm going to drop them off at their houses, etc. That's a very easy, oh yeah, that's definitely a business vehicle. Or like my granddad drives the church van.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's easy for the church to say it's a vehicle because I've seen him do it. The van just sits there until Sunday morning. And then he goes and picks up all the older people, drops them off at church, and then takes them off. That's easy. So this is what I mean by what is ordinary and necessary for your company. Are there exceptions? Of course. Like we do a lot more conferences and are in a lot more masterminds, but that's part of our marketing and advertising strategy. So I can easily explain that because of that reason. But we just have to if you can think ordinary and necessary, that'll cut out a lot of your spirit of the law versus the word for word.
Yeah.
That cuts out a whole bunch of it. So, like, I don't need to go buy paint. I'm an accountant. If I'm buying paint, then the best I can get away with is repairs and maintenance, aka I was painting my office. Okay.
Right.
So, okay, that makes sense if I see $50 of paint on there. But now if I had $20,000 in paint, whoa, sir, what are you doing? That's no. You automatically finna get flags. So hopefully that answers your question in the sense.
Yeah. So like to bring it back around to this industry, if we're doing, high-end detailing, coatings, ceramic coatings, and we're wrapping vehicles, I might be able to justify that Tesla as a marketing, kind of as a marketing expense versus because if I wrap that Tesla, if I change the color or I put graphics on it or whatever, and then I take that to Cars and Coffees and I use that for photo shoots and those kind of things, right? Like that you can justify it, as a business expense.
Correct. But now for me, you just wanted a Tesla.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So that is right. But now for them, hey, now think about it. And this is what your accountant needs to be helping you with too. Because I try to prep my people in the event we were to get audited. Thank God none of my people have been in the 6 years I've been doing this. So praise God for that. But I always tell them, if we were, you need to know how to speak. You can't just say, well, I bought a Tesla because I wanted it. Yeah, no. Versus like you said, hey, we bought a Tesla because we serve a lot of high-end vehicles. So we get a lot of the electric vehicles, your BMWs, your Audis. So what we wanted to show is this is how great we can make your car look. This is what we drive to different car shows. When we have to do a booth, we bring this car to not only show them how great of a job we do and the inside is custom and all of these different things. But when we go to clients who want us to come to their house specifically and they pay us extra, we want them to know that we're competent people and we can do a great job. I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to be like, okay, next question. Versus in my case, I drove to the airport because like that's where all my mileage is basically when I drive to the airport to go to these conferences or to the mastermind. That's all my business mileage because I have clients locally, but I don't really go visit them. So why am I going to try to make my business a business vehicle? No, just
yeah. Yeah. So so the basics is if you want to have everything in from a tax standpoint, up to speed. So if you do get audited, there's nothing really to audit. Like there's nothing really to say, you got to have the right answers and having the right tax strategy and all that. I want to ask you a question that kind of differentiates. So if we've got someone that's at a $10,000 a month range, a $30,000 a month range, or a $100,000 a month range, what kind of strategies? First of all, it is said that it's much easier to go. It's harder to go from like that $100,000 a year range to like 500 than it is to go from like a million to 10 million. I don't necessarily know that that's true. You'd be able to tell me better than that. But how does that change our strategy as we grow and as we move towards those things in terms of how I do my bookkeeping, how I do my strategy, how I look at taxes and all that?
That's a great question. So, first thing is the more money you make, the bigger opportunities for gains and savings or big boo-boos. So there's that. The 10K person, you're probably okay with a bookkeeper. You don't need all that strategy we were talking about. Your thing needs to be focusing on sales, continuing to get that proof of concept. A bookkeeper at $350 a month, maybe even $450, maybe $500 at the top end is perfect for you. You don't need anything fancy. I need you to manage this, make sure it's right. So when I do look at it and the rare times that I do need it, it's available. And for taxes, it's clean. 30K, which is like our favorite range, you got proof of concept down. You're making money. You probably have 2 to 4 people on your team. That's where we get to start doing the fun stuff. Of course, we want those same clean financials, but now we get to talk about scaling, tax savings, projections. How are you going to scale? What is your cash flow? Lines of credit. What are your service offerings? What services are the most profitable versus what do you just like to do that just may not be making you as much money? That's that level. A lot of growth, a lot of fun stuff can happen around that 25 to 30K area. The 100K people, I've learned it's not really an in between with them. They're either killing it or they fumbling. It's one or the other, because if they're killing it, they're going to be super organized, have their documentation in nice and orderly, etc. Or I'm just making money and I don't really know what's going on, so I need help. Those are the ones where typically we can get the biggest bang because it's just a bigger problem to fix, which means we get to get bigger savings. So those are the people at that point. It needs to be a non-negotiable. You need not just the bookkeeper. You need, I would say, more of the financial strategist, fractional CFO. Yeah, and let me go on to tell you this. You're not going to get that for $500 a month. You cannot want deep, intricate tax strategies, tax projections. Help me with my budget. Help me with my cash flow. Should I go buy this other company? Or you can't get that for under, I'm going to say $1,000, but I'm going to be nice and just say 500. So when you're starting to make that 100 grand range, if you're not paying at the least 1,500 a month, if not 2 to 4 grand a month, that's what we need to be looking at, because that person probably has the experience. They probably worked in corporate. They probably have multiple clients that are around that same area, so they can bring you different ideas and make those connections. It's time to get finances off your plate. That's the person we just signed yesterday. She made $1.7 million last year. So I already know, you know how to make money. She has a team of 30 people, but it's the cash flow. That's the area that we got to watch. It's the different loans that she got when it was a little challenging. It's the, how do I incentivize my team? Is that profit sharing? Is that bonuses? What does that look like? How do I raise my salary? Because I just kind of take whatever. It's not consistent or the same thing. It's how do we scale this to make this a possible multiple location idea? Like, that's the 100K and up type thinking. So you need somebody who loves numbers that you can say, hey, can you create me this? Hey, is there a way you can show me this? Can you show me out of my 5 services, which one makes me the most or is the most profitable? That's our job to come in and do. So again, going back to that very first question you asked, which laid the groundwork, you have to know, what do I need? Bookkeeper not going to cut it at that point. Because a book, you're going to get mad at the bookkeeper because what are they going to be saying? Yeah, I told you, those are office supplies. And you're going to be like, right, but what can we do to cut?
This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/success.
I'm not quite sure. Well, what would you like? I'm not paying you to ask me a question. I'm paying you to give me the solution, Ask. Give me some data, give me some knowledge, give me some wisdom, some foresight. So that way, all right, he told me I can either do A or B. He's suggesting I do B because, okay, what do I do? Bam. No emotions are needed because we got the data. That's what that 100K and up or 85K and up should be thinking. The 30K people, you got proof of concept. I'm going to start thinking future focused. I need somebody, hey, I need that kind of middle package in our case. I need that growth. I need that financial strategy because I never made 30K in a month before. I don't know what that money looks like. What do I do? How do I save it? How much am I going to have to pay on taxes? Can I afford to get somebody else? Can I start paying myself more money now? That's that one. Or fulfillment or operations or systems. Like we even have to help with that sometimes and make those connections with some of our partners because I didn't know I need to have SOPs for what happens when my team member gets pregnant and needs to take time off. Oh, snap. What do we do? What is our pop? I know about these things because we also run a company and I'm in a mastermind with X amount of other agencies. So I know what to do. I know what to go get. So hopefully that gives you kind of the range. Prioritize taxes. The days of you getting a refund is over. So let me just help you with that because everybody, oh, I'm going to get a refund. No, them days is over. You're going to owe every single year. The name of the game is to owe the least amount of money possible. Who can help me to do that? Legally, not by skipping stuff, not by trying to hide and do, because we've seen that. Some people try to hide it by doing these creative journal entries. I found it, of course. And I was like, yeah, no, we got to scrap this whole file and redo the tax return. So who can honestly help me to pay the least amount, do it with a spirit of excellence, be integral, and most importantly, be proactive and make me at least feel like I'm somewhat of a priority. I know they have multiple clients, but when I reach out to them, are they going to be available? Can they help me? Or is it going to be one of those, I reach out to them, I don't hear back for 3 months until it's almost time for me to pay them. Like, you don't want that kind of service. So spend the money you need at whichever level you are to accomplish whatever goal. If it's 10K, we just need a bookkeeper. 25, 30K. I need somebody thinking forward, thinking strategy, taxes, getting that down. Help me to make more money. 85K, 100K, 200K a month. I need a whole person to just run everything numbers wise. So when I have a question, hey, can you tell me, I feel like we're not making, like one of my buddies, hey, we're not having the best quarter. I think I need to let some people go. That's one of those things where I can say, okay, well, here's your salaries. They may have to talk to their operations or their HR team and see who hasn't been performing. You're taking that data plus the salary. Okay, I'm going to cut these 4 people. But the data's there. It's not like, do I like this person? No. Tell me where we are financially. Okay, we're at only 30K at the end of every month. I want that up to 50. Where can I cut? What do you cut this, this, and this? All right, HR person, do we have people that aren't performing? Yeah, these 3. Bam, decision made. That's what you wanted to be at that level. So
Which we talk. Yeah, that's great. We have, I've talked about forever. You have to know your numbers, and we also talk a lot about ROI. And so that's one thing's like, quote unquote, can I afford to hire somebody else to do the things that I'm not great at? And what is that ROI? Like if all the numbers that you just gave me, I mean, between 1.5% and actually between like 0.5% and 1.5%, right, of your gross revenue. you're paying 2.75% on credit card fees like that if just to put, and so like to spend, 20 to 30, 20 to 40 grand a year, let's say. And if you're making 1.5 million, that's really not that bad, especially if you're going to end up making an extra 100 grand or saving 50 grand on taxes or whatever. So that ROI is definitely important. If I'm a small business owner, let's do two. What are the two biggest mistakes small and medium business owners are making? And what are the strategies to fix those two things?
Not saving for taxes, not having clean financials. Two biggest ones.
Okay.
I know you're going to be a lot longer.
No, that's good. I want the strategies for like how, I'm a big profit first guy. So that's one strategy. I've had Mike on this podcast and my other podcasts, I've known him for a long time. So like having that, percentage, right? So what's the logistics for making sure you save for taxes? And then what can I do at all those levels personally as a business owner to make sure my financials are clean?
All right, so let's do the first question. Logistically speaking, how do we save? So what we do, again, everybody's different. So there's that. But what we do, because most of our clients are on the package where they get the projections, well, remember, I'm projecting to the end of the year. So I already know there's a very good chance based on this financial roadmap that I've created for the client that they're going to be at $1.5 million. And all their expenses is going to be $1 million. So net income is 500. What are taxes on 500,000? So whatever that number is, let's just say for conversation's sake, don't quote me. No, I didn't do this. I don't have my calculator. Let's just say they're going to owe $100,000 in taxes. My goal is to then take that number, divide it by 12. This is what we need to put in a tax savings account for you. So when we get to next year's tax season, you're not stressed because why? It's already sitting there. It's already right there. I'm not stressed because it's already there. That's the way that we approach it. There are some different tax strategies that can help. Yes, there are SEPs, there are simples, there are Roths. You can work with a financial advisor and, of course, go in the stock market and all of those different things. There are even some accounting ways we can do it. That's an entity change, like maybe your LLC. Maybe you become an S corp. So there's that. So that's one option. It could be that maybe their numbers are just not right. So then fix those, and that may drop that 1 million in expenses. Maybe you really only have, or maybe you have 1.2 million, which means instead of 500, it's really 300, which is a whole lot of taxes you just saved just in fixing that. So there's that answer for that. And I think your second question was, how do we get the financials fixed?
Yeah, like as a small medium business owner, what do I personally need to be doing to kind of do the right things? Because I may just have a $350 a month bookkeeper, right? So I'm in charge of all that stuff. How do I do that?
So the easiest thing would be, we tell people use the correct cards. So what makes it hard for us would be like, if there's somebody who's like, I got 5 cards, but they're all mixed with business and personal. So the first thing I would say is like, if you got a Chase card, Chase is pretty popular with a lot of our clients. Like, let that Chase card be business only. Will you, of course, forget the card? We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
But let 90% of those be business, because even if that accountant or bookkeeper is bad, when you get to the right one, well, everything is there. I don't have to, I think on my personal card, I did. So for one, use the cards, whether it's the credit card or the checking, business only, to the best of your ability. 2, I would say try to save something. I don't know what that may look like. A lot of our clients, we're trying to help them get to like between 2 to 6 months of savings, just saved up extra, just in case the world burns down. So there's that one. I would say, what are you paying yourself? That needs to be accurate, because if not, you're going to feel the stress of everything, because I'm only paying myself $3,000 when you in reality may need 6 in order to pay bills. So are we bringing in enough money to where I can consistently pay myself the right number to at least zero out all personal bills. I would also say, fourth thing, you need to just drill sales. At the end of the day, that's the name of this game. The more sales we make, the more money we make. The more money we make, the more change we can produce. So some of your problems will be fixed if you just hit sales hard. Like, there's not a fancy way to say, like, we can only, that's like, shout out to Dave Ramsey. But that's like my biggest pet peeve with his method. It doesn't apply to business owners. You not going to Starbucks and saving $30 this week is not going to help you.
Right.
Versus I could go out and get one client and maybe I'm charging them $2,000 a month. Well, my whole financial scenario just changed just off the client. So put the focus on what can I be doing to drive sales? And we help our clients with this to a certain extent because we're not a sales coach. But is there an offer you already have that you're just not using? That's a good gateway to bring them in. Do we need to up prices? Are we too bloated because we have 10 contractors and really you probably only need 6? Like, how do we increase these margins to get us where we need to be? Some of that can just be solved by you got to make more sales. You got to put more offers out. You got to post more. You got to go to more networking events. You need to find more strategic partners that you keep in contact with monthly so that you are top of mind. You have to get creative. And I tell all my people, you need at least 3 to 5 methods on how to market because it's a guarantee one of them not going to work the way you think. So like for us, it's not just organic social media. It's not just word of mouth referrals. It's being in masterminds where our target market is. It's going to their conferences. And we make a lot of connections with our podcast because now I know these people. So now I can be like, hey, do you know blah, blah, blah? Or, hey, have you heard of this? Because I already have the relationship. So those are like the 5 that we live in. So what are those 5 for you? And you need to attack those every single day in some form or fashion. So those would be the probably 4 or 5 things I would suggest to help you to have a healthy company, get where you need to be, and keep things clean.
Awesome. We call those writer downers, right? So go back and rewind this and go write those things down and start implementing them 100%. Dude, that's super helpful information. How do we find, like, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and see whether it was a good fit, how would they do that?
So you can reach out to us through our website, KynLiConsulting.com. That's KYNLI consulting.com. That's just, of course, a quick website, shows you what we do, what we're about, what we kind of stand on and stand by. I'm super active on Facebook for the most part. So you can always send us a DM, or we have plenty of free resources on there, like plenty of clips, content, posts, just to give you a ton of value. So I pretty much have some type of way for you to either comment, send us a message or whatever. So that's probably the second easiest way. Those are probably the best too, if I had to take a guess. You can go to our YouTube channel. We got a lot of content on there, which is Legacy's Journey 2018. You'll see some of the people that we know, because maybe we can make a connection for you, or maybe you just take value from some of the things we're sharing anyway. So those are probably the top 3 ways.
Awesome.
KynLiConsulting.com, Facebook, Legacy's Journey 2018 on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cameron. I appreciate you coming on board, and I look forward to implementing some of these things myself.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun. We got to do it again.
Yes, sir. Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.